All right, hello. We're back. It's another Monday lesson. Today we are talking about timing. Timing. Yes, we're talking about the big M word. We're using the metronome today. Hope to show you some awesome practice tips that you can apply to your practice repertoire, your practice regimen, and help to improve some areas of your playing to just take you to that next level in your craft, in your gift, in your skill, all right? So let's go ahead and dive in, but before we do, you already know I need you to hit that subscribe button down there. You have two options. You can either hit the subscribe button or you can hit that little watermark at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Just click on that little picture there and go ahead and subscribe, all right? Join the team, all right? We are trying to build our subscribers here. We got a lot of content coming. We got some lessons like this. We got some interviews coming, music coming out, product coming out. A whole lot is happening, all right? So I want you to be in the know. So hit that subscribe button and make sure that notification bell is on. That way you can stay up to date on everything that is happening here at Straight Up Productions, all right? All right, let's get to work. Today I have the bass out. And I'll do a lot of stuff on keys, but just want to switch it up a little bit this time. So we're gonna be talking about the metronome, all right? So let's get started. All right, so timing, the metronome. Why is it important? I don't like it. I don't want to use it. It stresses me out. It wears me out. It exposes my flaws. What's the big deal? First of all, let me say I understand. Trust me, I understand wholeheartedly, all right? But it is a necessary tool to take you to that next top level in your playing, all right? The first reason that we want to have good timing is that everything we play, we want it to feel good, right? Music is a creative art, but it's an expressive art, right? We're expressing our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, right? Our sentiments to the audience. Not only to the audience, but to the other players that may be sharing the bandstand with us, all right? So it's a creative art, but it's an expressive art, all right? And so no matter what it is, we want it to feel good, right? Even if the song comes from if it may come from a dark place, we still want it to kind of feel good, something that people can bob their head to, tap their foot to, something that can entice the listener to hold on to, right? That will never happen if what you're playing is not in time. Now, yes, there's some things that are free, there's some things that are open, I do get that, but when it's a groove setting, when it's full band, everybody's playing, it has to be in time. If it's not in time, it's not going to feel good. It's just that simple. All right. Everything feels good when it's all locked in. Everybody's feeling the same time in the same place. All right. We create that synergy. We create that gel, that lock that we need in the band. But if one person off, it throws off the whole ship. All right. So that's one good reason. All right. The other reason is clarity is the goal, right? Just like in speech, just like in communication, words, phrases, sentences need to be clear. Clear. All right, you want to be able to understand the words that are coming out of people's mouths. You want to be able to understand the message that you're trying to convey vocally and verbally, right? So the same goes with your playing. If I have an idea that I'm trying to communicate, whether it be in the solo or in a chord progression or some kind of melodic idea that's happening, I want that idea to be clear. And one way to ensure that that's going to be clear, of course, is by good technique, but good timing. If it's in time, that chance of it being clear is that much higher. All right. So let's get to the other question. Yes, it can be overwhelming. Yes, it can maybe give some of you guys some anxiety. It can expose you. Yes. So most of the time we're using the metronome. We're trying to work on scales. We're trying to work on a piece of music, trying to work on the chart or whatever. So how can I implement the metronome in a way that still makes my practice time fun? I don't get stressed out or overwhelmed or super frustrated. And I can also improve my timing. I can test myself. Well, a couple of ways that we're going to look at is just manipulating the metronome, right? But the biggest thing I want you to do is change your mindset about the metronome, all right? Oftentimes I've seen people just turn the metronome on, right? And they'll start practicing and they'll realize that they're off. And then they think the fix is to turn the metronome off and keep playing. It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. The other way I've seen things happen is people will turn the metronome on and just play without any, sense of time. They were not even paying attention to the metronome. It's just on in the corner and making noise, right? We don't want that. We got to stop all of that, all right? So I want you to think about the metronome as another member of the band, right? If you're playing in a band and something is off, let's say it's you, right? Are you going to tell the other band members to stop playing and just keep playing by yourself because something sounds off? Probably not. Are you going to ignore your bandmates and just keep chugging along and knowing that something is just really off? You're just not going to pay attention to them. You're going to be in your own zone? Probably not. You shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. Okay? So think of it as another member of the band, right? And I'm going to play some examples for you here in a second. If you're locking into the metronome and everything is in time, the metronome can honestly feel pretty good, and it's something that, can make your practice fun. It can make the groove kind of sound good. It's a way to kind of fit into the groove, and you kind of get lost in the time because it's just that much more locked in, all right? So I'm going to play a few examples just to show you what I'm talking about. Check it out. All right. So I went through a couple different styles there, as you kind of saw. I kind of labeled them, right? But I did not touch the metronome one time, right? One time. And you saw it on video, so you know it's real, right? Did not touch the metronome once, right? That just goes to show you that, yes, time and feel are different, but when it's in time, it feels good. And what I was doing in each one of those scenarios was imagining myself in a playing situation between the metronome like another member of the band. I want to lock into that metronome just as I would lock into like a drummer or another keyboard player or a guitar player. That same way, I want to lock into it, and I want to make sure that while the two of us are playing, we're in sync, we're in time, and it's feeling good. So how do we work on this? Okay. The first thing to do is to determine where you are. What are your flaws? Yes, the metronome will determine your flaws. What are they? I'll put myself in the chopping block. I am a rusher. I'll accept it boldly. I will rush. If I'm not paying attention, I'm off to the races. Okay? That's my flaw. So one of the things you can do is record yourself But just as I was playing, keep the metronome on all fours, right? And let's just say you're working on scales. Try to make those scales feel good, just going straight through, right? Uh, and see what your tendencies are. So what I'm going to do is play the scale 3 ways, okay? I'm going to play the C major scale. I'm going to play it straight. I'm going to play it like swung quarter notes. And then I'm going to take the scale and play it and make a groove out of it. That's another way to do like musical practice, right? Is to kind of make music out of practice tools like scales, interval practice, things like that, arpeggios and all that, different chord progressions, 2-5-1s, 3-6-2-5s. That's a little bit nugget for you. So I'm gonna play it as a groove, and I'm gonna leave the metronome on all fours just to see what happens, right? Now I'm gonna try to stay in time, but this is to show you some different ways you can approach this just to see what your flaws are. Let's check it out. Okay, a couple flubs there, my bad. But there's some different examples of how you can approach this and just see what your tendencies are. Did you rush? Did you drag? Were there some elements of your playing that need to be cleared up, right? Was your syncopation spacing on point? Were some things that rushed, dragged? Did you kind of, mess around and kind of get lost in between pushing and pulling the tempo? What happened, right? Analyze that aspect of your playing, okay? So dealing with straight quarter notes, let's deal with that and just the major scale, okay? Honestly, let's take the major scale out of it, okay? Let's deal with one note. And you can do this on guitar, you can do this on a saxophone, on wind instrument, you can do this vocally, you can do this on keys, drums, right? Let's focus on one note, okay? Now I know sometimes with like keys or sax, you might wanna use the scale just because one note can get a little monotonous, but since I'm on the bass, we're gonna work with the fingers a little bit, right? Let's just work on one note, okay? One thing you can do is on your metronome app, if you have something like what I'm using Pro Metronome, you can take out certain beats, okay? And what that does is build that independence with the time, right? Because when we're on stage, we're not gonna be using a metronome, right? Unless you're like playing with stems or something in church, but more often than not, you're not gonna have a metronome. So you're gonna have that independent internal time clock that needs to be dead on when you're playing, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out beat 2. Let's just see what happens, okay? Take out beat 2, and the goal is by the time I get to beat 3, I need to be dead on, okay? Just one note, choose C, okay? Check it out. Okay, so there was that example. And you can mess around with, taking out beat 1, taking out beat 3, beat 4, beats 2 and 4, and just play around to different things there. Or you could do this. Let's play only beat 1. Only beat 1. And what this is going to do is just, again, challenge that internal time clock. And so the challenge here is, if you like me, I love challenges. Love challenges because it strengthens any weaknesses, right? So the challenge is to make sure that by the time I get to beat 1, I'm dead on and that everything else in between is even, all right? So now we're gonna use the major scale. Let's see what happens. All right, so that was that example, right? So like I said, I'm a rusher, and you heard some of that in that example, but you figure out that flaw, you pull it back, and eventually things will start to line up, but you have to remain focused, right? So you can even take this beyond and do something like, beat 1 for 2 bars, right? You can manipulate the time signature and do like 8/4 or something, or, I'm at 100 BPM right now, that's it. So if I do it at 50, right, and then keep it only for beat 1, you can do like 1 beat for 2 bars or something. And just challenge that time and that internal time clock just to see where you're at, right? So you can do this with syncopation too. So if I'm on 8th notes, which sound like this, check it out. So with Pro Metronome, what I can do is set it to play just the ands, right? So if I play just the ands, but then I go back to playing 1 note and just play 8th notes, make sure those 8th notes are even. Check it out. Right? That's something that you can do to just work on that timing, make sure that everything you play is even, right? When it comes to syncopation, especially as a bass player, those syncopated lines, you want to make sure those guys are in time for sure, right? When you're playing. So those are a couple of things you can do with the metronome to challenge your timing, right? To improve your timing, to figure out what those issues are, right? And perfect those issues to improve your timing, which also improve your groove, your feel, right? And honestly, as a gigging musician, your chances of getting called. If you can play in time, make it feel good, somebody's gonna call you, for sure. For sure, there's a lot more that goes into it, but if you can do those 2 things, you'll get called, all right? So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a few things from this. Hopefully your mindset is changed and we can stop being so overwhelmed and frustrated with the metronome. We can start using it as a tool again. We can start changing our approach to how we practice with it, all right, and start using it more and more in our practice. And I don't know if you practice daily, weekly, whatever your case is, but do not leave your metronome out of your practice time, okay? It is hugely, hugely important, and hopefully this video showed you why and showed you how you can use this better in your practice time, okay? If you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment that says, I enjoyed it, I learned something. Tell me what you learned. Also, if there's something that you do that I didn't cover, please put it in the comment. I would love to learn from you and to share some ideas with you and just hear what you do in your practice time, all right? So be sure to visit that comment section, and if you have not, hit that subscribe button, all right? I will see y'all next time. You guys have a great day.